Hey nerds, I'm gonna talk about my boy Slavoj Zizek, my favorite Hegelian slash Lacanian slash Marxist philosopher, and his, as usual, bombastic opinion that obsession with truth makes us crave the apocalypse, which is interesting as usual. And like basically, it's actually his opinion that obsession with being objectively true, with pursuing objective truth and facts is what prevents us from escaping our mindset of a cynical desire for the apocalypse because our lives are too easy and we can't see it. So that's why we end up craving the end of the world, because our lives are too easy, that it makes us feel like our lives are hard even though they're actually easy. Basically, I would say.
Are we really approaching some kind of end? Or is it just that in a strange way we are obsessed by the end? I think both are true, but not in the sense of harmony. We live in an era of cynical reason where, in the old times, the disavowal worked like this. You knew something is true, but you pretended it's not true. Now we are entering a new era. We learned how to.
You know that it's true, but you pretend that it's not true. That's of course a almost deliberately confusing statement. I think he means though, like maybe not exactly in the way that Foucault does, but in like if we're talking about the mindset during the Enlightenment, that these are widely regarded truths, like the universal truths that Jordan Peterson talks about, like the universal truths of the institutions of religion, science, and government, and these values that everyone agrees on, that people actually believed in that, but they didn't actually believe in that. They just pretended to. Like, obviously, it's a fictional example, but I'm thinking of Mad Men, for example, like the old fashioned 60s lifestyle, but they're actually all cheating on their wives, and the wives are all unhappy and shit. That kind of example is what I think he seems to be getting at, I'd say.
to tell objectively at the level of facts the truth, but this very fact immobilizes us. Precisely the fact of talking about it instead of mobilizing us makes us apathetic, inefficient, and so on.
Oh, okay. So
Are we?
basically, talking about the end of the world and being obsessed with it so much instead of actually doing about it is what prevents us from be was it's like almost a paradoxically what prevents us from from saving ourselves from the apocalypse. So we're so obsessed with talking about the apocalypse that we don't do enough to actually stop it. Like reminded of this example in a Man Bear Pig South Park episode where Man Bear Pig, obviously an analogy to climate change, he comes and literally kills the devil, and then for the third or fourth time throughout that episode, people are saying, we're experts agree that perhaps we should at some time soon agree to discuss possible solutions for Man Bear Pig. Perhaps we should finally agree to doing something about this. You can say that now, like climate change is one of numerous examples where getting closer and closer to, I'm not sure about a climate change apocalypse, but like drastic global destruction in terms of climate change. And of course, like we saw with COVID, that if there's a virus that's like way worse than COVID, it could decimate the human population. Think about the possibility of there being some massive pandemic that wipes out like tens of millions of people in combination with like mass cataclysmic events of climate change, and like rich elites hoarding all the money at the same time, so people have less money, and then the government isn't doing enough to help people, which seems to be happening in America more and more with dumbass orange guy land. Anyway, yeah, Slavoj Zizek's opinion, as usual, is really fascinating. Like I said, to oversimplify, obsession with the truth makes us crave the apocalypse. And maybe we're so obsessed with talking about the apocalypse that we don't actually put anywhere near enough effort, and possibly can't even fathom imagining putting enough effort into actually stopping the approaching apocalypse.